Hi, my name is Claire McCain and I would like to introduce you to Kahoot, which is a classroom response system. I use it quite a lot because my students find it totally engaging and motivating, and they get really interested and get very excited about the game. The reason why is because it's up to date. It uses gaming elements such as music and a timer, and they really get totally engrossed in the game very quickly. Students can use any device with a browser, such as a laptop or an iPad, or I like to let them use their cell phones to play the game, which they really enjoy. It's a blended learning tool in that I teach a little bit of the subject, then we do some examples, and then we can use Kahoot to test to see what they've picked up that day. One very good thing is that there's no setup required. I don't have to type in students' names. They enter their own names, which saves me a lot of time before class. Also, they don't need to download or install anything on their computers or cell phones. That's good because it doesn't take up any of their data on their cell phones, so they appreciate that. Currently it's free. They do say that in the future they're going to have some add-ons which you pay for, but at the moment it is a free application. There are a large number of quizzes already available, and that I find very useful because it means I don't have to type questions or answers in, and that makes it very useful to me in that it saves me a lot of time having to make up quizzes. Although you can make up your own quiz, or you can take one that's already available and duplicate it and make changes, adding questions, deleting questions, or changing timing, which is very useful. Students can also participate with other students in other classes or schools, or even across the country or abroad, which makes it very interesting and exciting for them. Students can also create their own Kahoots for others to play, making up questions for either their own peers in their class, or they can make up Kahoots for others in other classes, or even, as I mentioned earlier, abroad. It can be used for formative and summative assessment, although it's not recommended for grading because children get very excited with the timing element and sometimes press the wrong button, so it's not really fair to use it as a grade. But it's certainly very useful for formative assessment in that you can see what the students understand as you're teaching. You can also download the results into a spreadsheet for analysis at a later date so that the teacher can see what areas need to be reviewed, or even look at individual students' results and see what they particularly need, and can allocate various questions or worksheets based on what they find from the results of Kahoots. Okay, and so to look at Kahoot itself, you can see from the address bar that the address of the game is getkahoot.com. You can get your free account here. Once you've got your account, you can sign in with your email address and your password. And it takes you to the main screen. Along the top here, there are buttons to create a new Kahoot, the Kahoots that you have created yourself, and then there are public Kahoots, which are the ones that other people have already created and have made public. You can see here that there are over 2 million of them existing already. Frequently asked questions, and then support. In this section here, you can see that there are various videos that you can look at to get an introduction and to see how it works. Here you can create a new Kahoot. There are 3 types. There are quizzes, discussions, and surveys. Discussions are not maybe as useful as the quizzes, and I haven't really seen too many surveys. People can set out a survey within the class and get it to be answered, but the most popular one is the quiz. Over here there are statistics saying how many Kahoots I've played, the number of questions, and so forth. These are the results that have been produced of late for the ones that I've used. So I can go back and look at students' results from this and see what students have scored and maybe where their weaknesses lie, because it gives you a question by question analysis. Here we have the community, which is tips on the blog. Also, there's how to join the Facebook community and Twitter and so forth. So you can have a look at that as well. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is to actually play a Kahoot that has already been produced by someone else, which is the easiest thing to do. So whenever this page loads up, then here I can type in the title. If I want to do radical expressions, and here you can choose your topic, which is school, university and so forth. I'm going to choose school, and I'm going to choose a quiz, and I click on search, and it will look for all the ones that refer to radical expressions. Here's one. I'll just pick the first one, and if I click on it, it goes directly to the quiz. Now I can play it, or I can preview what it's going to look like when it's being played, or I can select to make it a favorite, so that if I'm teaching if I like it and I'm teaching the topic again, I can find it easily. It tells me how many questions have been there are in it, how many times it's been played, how many players, and how many people have made it favorites or shared. Here are the questions. I can click on show all answers, and it lets me see the answers and the options available. Usually I like to try out the answers for the questions and answers first before I would show it. I would use it with the class. On the right hand side there are the number of seconds which it will show for before it times out, and how many choices are available. If I want to preview it, I can click on preview, and this lets me see what it's going to look like when I'm playing with the class. On the right hand side is what the students will see on their cell phone or their screen. On the left hand side is what you'll see projected on the screen at the front of the class. There are a number of options here you can set, like for example displaying the game pin throughout. If a student loses their internet connection or something like that, it throws them out of the game, but if it's displayed at the front, then they can join in at any time. There's a number of other options that you can select as well, such as randomizing the order of questions and so forth. So you can change these by setting them on or off. If I launch it, then it goes directly into the game, and you'll probably hear there'll be a little bit of background music which it will play. You can turn that off if you don't want it. Up at the top here is a game pin for this game, so the student needs to type in 24926 and press enter, and then they will be asked for their nickname, which they can type in. Now you can incidentally change or block them. If I go over here as a teacher, I can block that person if they've put an inappropriate name in or something that they shouldn't. Okay, when everybody's in then, and you can see how many people are in, so you know if they're actually using their cell phone to play or to do something else, which is a very useful facility. Okay, once it loads up, then the question will be displayed on the board at the front of the screen. The students don't actually see the questions, they just see colours and shapes representing answers, which because the screens on the phones are so small, you wouldn't really have room for everything, so it just displays the buttons. Okay, once they've looked at the answers here, then they can click on the one that they think is correct, and the system will tell you whether it's correct or not. It then displays a graph showing how many people got it right, or you can re-show the image and go over the question with them and say, well, explain to them why the answer is correct, so you can use it as a little bit of review. Okay, then we can press next question, and it shows you the results. Pick the top 5 and print them on the screen so that you know how many people have or what answers people have been given. Okay, the next one then, if I select this one, I've got it correct, so it tells me I'm correct, shows the correct answer, and then it once again shows who's in the top 5, so it can be quite competitive. Next question, I can select, and yet again it was incorrect. Shows the graph, and I go on. When I've completed, or when it has gone through all the questions, I can see who the winner is, how many questions they got correct, how many they got incorrect, and I can click on feedback and results. Students can say whether they felt they learnt something, if they would recommend it, whether they feel good about how they did in the quiz, and then you can select final results and see what the results were, and then you can observe the ratings that the students have given it. You can download results. If I click here, it takes me down to put the results into a spreadsheet in Microsoft Excel, and I can look at those results. I can look at the overall results, the percentage students got, what their ratings were, and the percentage of individual questions, how many each student got. Another thing I can do is mark it as a favourite. I can play it again, or I can play again and let each student play against their previous score as a ghost, so that they can see whether they've improved or not, or play a different Kahoot. If I click here, then I can go back into to another game, and then I can go back and choose another public Kahoot and repeat the process again. Okay, that's all for this section. We just really wanted to get you introduced to Kahoot. What I'll do in the future is, in the next one, I'm going to show you how to do your own Kahoot, and a little bit more on looking at the statistics and how to work with those. Thank you.